She smashed a fake badge on my hood like she owned my life. The metal caved in right in front of me, and honestly, for a split second, I thought maybe I was dreaming. But no, this was real life. And I was standing there watching my hard work dented by someone who probably spent more time online shopping for power than actually earning it. One minute I was polishing a '67 Mustang under my garage lights, breathing in that perfect smell of wax and motor oil. Next thing I knew, my neighbors stopped waving, I was getting fines left and right, and my security cameras magically went down just when things got weird. Tell me, what would you do if some wannabe sheriff tried pulling this on your driveway? I should have clocked it right away the minute I saw Lori Benson, homemade badge blue blazer, stomping across the street like she was auditioning for Neighborhood Cop the musical. 45 years old and 3 years into her reign as HOA president at Willowbrook Gardens, she'd built herself a little empire out of rule books and mood swings. Every day it was a new commandment: no flags, no boots left out, no unsightly vehicles in driveways. Didn't matter if it was the 4th of July or you just had a baby, Lori's rules were the gospel. Name's Jordan Hale 36, run a one-man auto restoration out of my 2-car garage, scraping by on dreams and whatever contracts I can land. That Mustang out front, not just any side gig. This was my big break, $5,000 on the table, my business's next month, riding on chrome and elbow grease. Here's the kicker. It belonged to some federal employee, all registered under C. Whitman, but I hadn't even met the owner. Just messages through their office like some spy drop. Still, every time I ran a hand along that fender, I thought of my granddad, the way he'd tell stories about muscle cars and open highways, letting me ride shotgun before I was tall enough to see over the dash. Building this shop had taken every penny, every minute, and 100-second chances this car meant paying rent, maybe finally catching up, maybe being able to turn someone away for once instead of taking every busted-up Camry that limped in. But hope, yeah, that's dangerous in neighborhoods like mine where someone else's success is apparently a personal attack. That Tuesday, while I was double-checking the Mustang's finish, this thing was glassy. Not a speck out of place, Lori comes strutting over, flashing a badge that looked straight off an eBay impulse buy. "You need to move this car immediately. It's in violation of our code," she barks louder than necessary, with Mrs. Peterson and the mailman close enough to catch every word. I show her my business license, the work orders, everything legit, even ask for 48 hours to finish the job. Nope. She threatens my shop. I know city officials. This could end your little operation for good. Then, just to twist the knife, she calls my work an eyesore, dragging down property values. Now, I'm not quick to lose my cool, but I'm not a doormat either. So I quietly start recording on my phone tucked low. She's so wound up in her own authority, she doesn't even notice. She keeps repeating her lines about special enforcement powers, never explaining what that means, just steamrolling over any attempt at compromise. I tried to reason. If I move this car now, I risk damaging months of detail work. I'm almost finished. Didn't matter. Her face got tight. She stepped forward, and that's when she slammed her fake badge right onto the hood. Metallic crunch, the sound of weeks of work and my bank account both taking a hit. I could see the dent bloom under the clear coat. I kept the camera rolling, documenting it all, even as my hands shook. And you know what really stung? She looked pleased, like she'd won a prize, like making a point that in this neighborhood, power trumps effort. I felt this urge deep down to snap, but something told me, let her keep talking. Let her dig her own grave. My garage security camera, the one that always worked, had lost power that morning. Coincidence, right? But here's what got me the most. It wasn't just the dent, not even the 5 hours of sanding and repainting it would take. It was the way she looked at me like, you should know your place. And suddenly I got the sense this wasn't about cars at all. It was about control, who gets to succeed, who gets to be comfortable. Maybe I'm reading into it, but when she kept mentioning how things work around here, it was hard not to notice the subtext. Now, a dent like that costs over $2,000 to fix if you can even match the paint. Insurance, sure, but the client expects perfection. How do you explain to a federal employee, sorry, your car got caught in a suburban turf war? I documented everything, video witnesses, timestamps. Mrs. Peterson's face went white. My detail-oriented side probably saved me. But the next morning, man, that was something else. I'm in my bathrobe, half awake, and there's Lori, plus two clipboard-wielding neighbors in reflective vests, posting documents on my door like they're the IRS. The citation was for $75 threatening city towing. It looked official until you spotted the Comic Sans and grammar errors. I documented every bit, her shaky signature the way she wouldn't meet my eye. Did she really think this was fooling anyone? Or was she just setting the stage for something bigger? That's when Dana Brooks, my neighbor from across the street, sidled over. You could tell she was nervous, glancing over her shoulder. She's a teacher, not the type to rock the boat, but she'd gotten a $50 penalty for leaving her trash can out a few hours after a family emergency. 6 hours late, $50, that kind of petty that makes your teeth hurt. And as we talked, she started telling me about flags, visitor cars, ridiculous fines, all kept under the small claims threshold so nobody would bother fighting back. Smart in a twisted way. That night, I finally did what I should have from the start, read the actual HOA bylaws online. And guess what? Lori was bluffing. Individual board members can't just slap on fines. It takes a formal hearing, a vote. She'd been freelancing her own little racket for who knows how long, and like a fool, I'd trusted the badge more than the rule book. I called the number on the Mustang's registration, ready to explain the whole situation, got a government voicemail, tree departments, extensions. That was my first clue this wasn't just any old car. I left a detailed message, laid out the facts. But meanwhile, Lori's enforcement squad was doubling down, more fake warnings, threats to call city officials who'd never heard of her. I started snapping pictures of everything because at some point the whole circus just got funny in a tragic community theater way. She was so desperate for control, she invented her own government complete with paper badges and fake citations. But it worked. People started avoiding me like my house was haunted. Still, something about her act was starting to crack. The more official she tried to look, the more it was obvious she was making it up as she went. I started comparing notes with Dana. Same paper stock, same typos, same wobbly signature. It wasn't incompetence. It was a scam. And the money never reached the HOA account. Just cash left on her porch like we were all paying tribute to some weird neighborhood warlord. By Wednesday, I drove to the county clerk's office. Learned pretending to be an officer is a felony here. Impersonation, fraud, extortion all add up quick, especially when you target government employees. By that evening, I got a call from a real federal office, the kind of call that knows your name, address, everything. Calm professional. Keep documenting, don't interfere. We're handling it. That's when I realized this wasn't just an HOA feud. This was bigger. Thursday morning, Lori went full dictator, organizing an emergency hearing at the community center. She sent notices with fake letterheads, set up poster boards with pictures of my Mustang like she was presenting evidence in a trial. Honestly, it was almost impressive, the effort, the performance. She tried to whip up the crowd with fear. Property values are at risk. He's destroying our neighborhood. Neighbors started to squirm, asking, hey, where did my $30 fine go? Why did my truck get ticketed? The mood changed. Dana found her courage, stood up with her citation, barely above a whisper. I got fined for my trash can. Others followed. Suddenly, people started realizing they'd all been targets. The room flipped. Lori's authority crumbled as people demanded answers, and then she snapped, called 911 right there, claimed I was making terrorist threats. The drama man, you couldn't script it. Cops roll in Officer Rodriguez real badge and everything. Lori tries to sell her story badge out, demanding my arrest. Rodriguez listens, then turns to me. I hand over my folder, videos, photos, the works. He flips through it, his face getting more serious by the second. Then he starts pressing Lori about her credentials. She gets wild, can't name any departments, makes up nonsense. Finally, she lunges at me. Rodriguez calmly steps in, makes a call with words like federal interest, ongoing investigation. I realize they've been watching this for a while. Then a government SUV rolls up, plates gleaming. Out steps a guy I recognize from campaign ad Senator Whitman. He walks right over, asks to see the damage to his car. Yeah, that Mustang was his personal property. He runs his hand over the dent, shakes his head, then addresses the whole room. You've all been part of a federal investigation into HOA fraud targeting government employees. The whole room goes silent. Lori goes pale. The senator lays it out. My restoration business was the bait, my meticulous documentation, the evidence. Lori had been systematically fining and intimidating federal workers, and the government had been tracking every move. Neighbors started comparing citations, realizing their bad luck was part of a much bigger pattern. Lori panics, tries to spin it, but it's too late. The feds cuff her, impersonating an officer, mail fraud, extortion. The list goes on. Rodriguez adds vandalism to federal property. My Mustang videos Exhibit A. The badge, the centerpiece of our empire, gets bagged as evidence. Over $8,000 in fake fines, dozens of victims. She gets marched out in handcuffs, forced to apologize before the whole neighborhood, trembling and out of excuses. Dana becomes the new HOA president. First act, public financials, open meetings, every penny accounted for. Senator Whitman covers my restoration costs, throws me a hefty bonus, then signs a contract for my shop to service his entire car collection. My little garage goes national overnight. We threw a block party to celebrate Mustang's center stage, neighbors swapping stories. Real laughter back in the air for the first time in months. Lori's story made headlines, her mugshot featured in fraud prevention materials. Her house went into foreclosure, a bright yellow sign out front reminding everyone what happens when petty power goes federal. And me, I found my voice. My business thrived. My granddad would have been proud, not just of the car, but that I didn't lose my head. Sometimes justice doesn't show up on your schedule, but if you stick with it, it comes through heavy and undeniable. So what do you think? Was it worth the fight, or should I have just paid the fine and kept my head down? Drop a comment. Share your stories, and if you want more tales of regular people standing up for what's right, hit that, like, subscribe, or even the thanks button. Until next time, trust, slow drive, safe, and never ignore a dent.